Have you ever found yourself, kind of caught in a situation where you're constantly chasing something more, like more money, maybe more stuff,
Yes.
status, but it just never really feels like enough. You put in all this effort, you see the numbers go up, maybe on a screen, but there's still this nagging feeling,
Mm.
like you're getting less somehow.
Yeah, like you're losing ground or just stuck.
Exactly, stuck on a treadmill. It's unsettling, isn't it? Almost like some kind of invisible addiction.
It really is.
So today, we're diving deep into a really fascinating idea that honestly might just explain that feeling, that kind of profound unease.
Yeah, this is a big one.
This deep dive explores a pretty radical concept.
Yeah.
The idea that our current financial system, specifically fiat money, well, it isn't just currency.
Right.
It's maybe a mechanism that actually fosters a digit addiction.
Mm.
It draws these compelling and, frankly, kind of unsettling parallels between our money systems and, well, human
The
behavior.
psychology of it all.
Exactly. So we're going to unpack why that might be the case, look into the profound consequences, personal and societal, that ripple out from this idea,
And then the alternative.
and then explore how Bitcoin offers this potentially transformative alternative, maybe even a cure for this digital delusion. Our mission here is really to distill these powerful insights, make them clear, actionable, give you that aha moment about the true nature of money, or maybe its hidden nature.
Sounds good. It's definitely thought-provoking stuff.
And our sources for this deep dive, they're incredibly rich. They come from this compelling conversation with someone who hasn't just thought deeply about these concepts, grappling with the philosophy and economics.
Right, not just theoretical.
Not at all. They've actually experienced the real-world impact firsthand in some, well, truly profound and personal ways. You've given us excerpts from a YouTube discussion that just brilliantly weaves together philosophy, economics, and these deeply personal stories. It really illuminates this whole complex topic. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's do it. It truly is a powerful and, like you said, unsettling idea once you start really digging into it, isn't it?
It really is.
The central argument, just as you laid it out, is that fiat money. It's not just a medium of exchange. It's a systemic construct. And it cultivates this pervasive addiction to just abstract numbers.
Digits on a screen.
Exactly.
You
Our
know?
sources are calling this a digit addiction pandemic. And the core issue, they argue, is that this entire monetary system, it operates on what they pretty provocatively call a dishonest ledger.
A dishonest ledger.
Think of it like a fundamental split in reality, almost like a hard fork of reality, if you want to use that term. It creates an illusion for us, the users, that we're constantly getting more for less.
How does that illusion work exactly?
Well, this dishonest ledger thing, it doesn't just mean numbers are like fudged here and there. It means the very foundation of value is detached from anything tangible, anything real. We see our bank balances, right?
Yeah.
Our investment portfolios, the prices of stuff in the shops, all expressed in these ever-increasing nominal digits. So the illusion is, hey, I'm gaining wealth, or things are getting cheaper, nominally speaking.
But they're not really, in terms of what you can actually buy.
Exactly. Your purchasing power might actually be eroding underneath it all. And our sources suggest this perceived advantage, this ease, this comfort of just tapping a card or seeing numbers go up. That's precisely where the addiction takes hold. It's this fundamental split from what's real, almost designed to make us think we're benefiting.
When really we're just getting drawn deeper into this abstract system.
Yeah, a system of increasing abstraction and often diminishing real returns.
Wow. Okay, that's where it gets really interesting because the comparison, the analogy our sources make is so striking. It's visceral. They draw this direct parallel between fiat currency and the distribution of street drugs, like fentanyl or cocaine.
Yeah, it's meant to shock you, right? To make you see the system differently.
It definitely does that. Think about it like they suggest. The initial free dose. When fiat currency first really took hold, it offered this undeniable easiness of use, didn't it? These comfortable transactions.
Compared to barter? Absolutely.
Right. Suddenly, you didn't need to trade chickens for shoes or lug around heavy gold coins.
Right.
You had this paper, this stuff that was, universally accepted in your town, your country. It was just way more convenient than direct exchange. So naturally, people embraced it.
Of course. It solved a real problem.
But that initial convenience, that seamless experience, that becomes the hook. Once you're used to this easy, convenient, seemingly effortless system, it becomes very, very hard to drop, just like a chemical addiction, right?
You're conditioned to it.
Yeah, conditioned to the immediate gratification, how it's just everywhere. The thought of using something else, something perceived as less convenient, it just feels like this huge effort.
And this analogy, It gets even stronger when you think about the cost of actually producing fiat.
Wow.
Unlike physical drugs, which, even though they're illicit, they still take some effort, resources, risk to make and distribute. Fiat currency, especially now in its digital form, it can be produced out of paper or really just digits typed on a keyboard at almost zero cost.
Practically nothing.
Right. This near zero marginal cost makes it incredibly easy for the system, for central banks, for governments to just push this addiction effectively onto everyone. There's no inherent physical limit to how much they can create.
Unlike gold or even Bitcoin.
Exactly. And think about the mindset. When someone's caught in an addiction, they don't think straight, do they? Their main drive is just getting the next hit.
Yeah.
So they might irrationally prefer the familiar imaginary coin fiat, even if it's losing value, over something they see as difficult or volatile or maybe equally imaginary in their heads, like Bitcoin.
You hear those arguments all the time. Oh, nobody accepts Bitcoin, or it's too complicated.
Right. It's often just rationalizing, sticking with the familiar, the comfortable addiction. But here's the critical difference. Street drugs have a physical basis, even if it's harmful. Fiat, though. At its core, it has no intrinsic value. The paper's real, sure, but the value assigned to it, it's completely arbitrary. It's somebody's illusion, someone's imposed belief system.
Right, and this leads us straight into that principle you sometimes hear about from like tech and social media. The whole, if the product is free, you're the product idea.
Like with Facebook or Google.
Yeah, exactly. You think you're the user, but really, it's your attention, your data. You are what's being sold off to advertisers. Our sources argue this same chilling principle applies, maybe even more profoundly, to central banking.
How so?
Well, think about it. This huge, systemically important institution, this massive financial infrastructure, it seems free, right? We don't get a bill for the central bank in the mail. We don't pay for that institution or fund it directly.
Okay.
So if it seems free, then maybe you, the user of its currency, are actually the product. Maybe you're being taken advantage of through what our sources call these backdoor transactions.
Oh, like inflation.
Exactly like inflation, which quietly eats away your purchasing power. Or maybe the way wealth gets shifted around through credit expansion. It's a really profound thought. If you're not explicitly paying for the system, how is it being sustained? And ultimately, at whose expense?
Precisely. And this brings us to a really compelling, concise definition of addiction that just fits the fiat system perfectly. It's, you can never get enough of something that almost works.
Almost works.
Say more about that. Well, it applies to both sides of the fiat equation. There's like a dual addiction happening.
Okay.
On one side, you have the money printers, the central bankers, or as our sources kind of provocatively put it, the shareholders of central banks.
Right.
They are, in a way, addicted to, well, the sources say stealing from people by constantly pushing this false ideology. They maintain the system, they manipulate it because it consolidates their power, it benefits their interests, and they seem unable to stop this cycle of just expanding money, controlling things, not necessarily malicious individuals, but the system incentivizes it.
Okay, so that's one side. What's the other?
The other side is us, the broader population. This same system creates the conditions for a perpetual debt-based economy. It puts individuals, even whole countries, on these debt treadmills, right? Constantly chasing a moving target because prices keep going up, liabilities keep increasing.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that sometimes.
And this fuels what they call hedonic consumerism, that constant chase for the next new thing, the next experience, because nothing ever quite satisfies. It also pushes short-termism, where immediate gratification, those quick wins, they overshadow long-term stability or genuine savings or creating sustainable value.
It's just a relentless cycle of wanting more.
Because the system is designed to almost work, to always fall just short of real satisfaction. It keeps you dependent, always needing more.
And what's truly insidious, almost sneaky, is how this taps into these really deep psychological traps inside us. Apparently, our smart brain cannot differentiate between something that we experience with our senses and something that we can vividly imagine.
Interesting.
So both can trigger powerful responses, even addictive behaviors. When the financial system shows us these abstract numbers, your debt growing, your savings shrinking, prices rising, our brains react almost as if these abstract things are concrete, tangible threats or rewards. It creates this addictive loop based on imagined realities.
Wow. That makes sense.
And this same psychological vulnerability, it also explains why the discomfort of just admitting we were wrong about money is so incredibly powerful. That's why adopting Bitcoin, getting orange-pilled, as they say,
Yeah, that moment of realization.
why it's so goddamn hard for so many people. People, understandably, cling to comfort, right, to the familiar. Even if that comfort is ultimately an illusion, keeping them trapped in a system that doesn't really serve them, the cognitive dissonance is just huge. It takes real guts to face it.
It really does. And to really drive home this psychological trap, our sources use this incredibly vivid metaphor, the monkey trap of fiat.
Okay, the monkey trap. How does that work?
Imagine, like, a hollowed-out coconut or maybe a box. It's got a small hole just big enough for a monkey's open hand to slide in.
Right.
Inside, there's something tempting, like a banana. The monkey sees it, sticks its hand in, grabs the banana, but now its fist is clenched.
Ah, so it can't pull its hand back out.
Exactly. The fist is too big for the hole. The trap works because the monkey refuses to let go of the banana, even when it senses danger, even when the hunter approaches. It allows itself to be captured because it won't release its grip.
Wow. Okay, so how does that relate to fiat?
It's precisely how fiat works, according to the sources. They're selling you some fiction, but they are trapping you in reality. The fiction is the illusion of endless digits, growing nominal wealth, the convenience, the feeling of control over your money.
The banana.
The banana, exactly. The illusion is that you can use it for real stuff. Buying food, paying rent, daily life, and you can, sort of. But while you're focused on grabbing that immediate banana of easy transactions, you're already in the cage, metaphorically speaking.
You're trapped by the system itself.
Yeah, you're clenching your fist around nothing of true, inherent value that you actually control. The value is just a promise, right? A claim on someone else's ledger. It's not in the digits themselves. You think you have something, but it can vanish with a keystroke.
That is a chilling image. And tragically, it has these very real-world consequences. Our sources point starkly to Lebanon's financial crisis as an example.
Oh, yeah. That was devastating.
People who had saved diligently their whole lives suddenly found their money frozen, just gone, inaccessible in the banks.
Couldn't get it out.
Couldn't get it out. There are these desperate scenes, people even showing up with guns demanding their own money, only to find the banks either didn't have it or just wouldn't release it. They were already in the cage.
They realized the banana wasn't real.
Exactly. They thought they had wealth, you could see the digits, but it was just numbers on a screen, controlled by a system that could and did just take it away or make it worthless overnight. It just highlights that brutal disconnect between abstract numbers and actual real-world value or control. The banana was gone, but the fist was still clenched, stuck.
Exactly. So fiat's fundamental flaw really is this inherent disconnection from reality. It relies entirely on numbers that have no base in reality. Unlike, say, gold, which has a physical presence, or even the paper money itself, which is at least tangible, even if the value isn't. The value of fiat is purely somebody's illusion. It's a belief system imposed by an authority.
And historically, the way we got here, our sources call it a clever bait and switch.
It didn't start out this way.
No. It began as paper that was essentially a receipt for gold, right? A promise for real money held somewhere else. But over time, that backing changed from full reserve, paper equals gold, to fractional reserve, less gold than paper.
And eventually, 1971, zero reserve, pure fiat, unbacked.
Right. People were slowly conditioned or programmed into just using the paper, gradually mistaking the map for the territory, believing the paper was the value, not just a representation.
Until the rug pull.
Until the rug pull. Governments just severed the last ties to anything physical and basically forced everyone to use the paper or digits with no underlying asset. And this created that huge gap between face value, the number printed on the bill or shown on your app, and real value. Early on, they might have been close, but with pure fiat, it's increasingly all face value and no real value. You hold it, you see the number, you believe it's worth something.
But it's really just a confidence game, totally susceptible to the whims of whoever issues it.
Which is what makes the Bitcoin contrast so fascinating here. Our sources draw this really insightful connection between Bitcoin and the international system of units, SI units.
Like meters, kilograms, seconds.
Exactly. Those fundamental measurements we rely on constantly. Length, the meter, time, the second, weight, the kilogram, temperature, Kelvin. All of these are very, very valuable because they are fundamentally based in reality.
They're tied to constants.
Right. Directly or indirectly defined by some immutable constant we discovered, not invented, Like the speed of light defines the meter or atomic oscillations define the second. We didn't create these standards, they just are. They're universal objective yardsticks that let humanity coordinate, build complex stuff, innovate globally.
And that's precisely the core point. If you have something like fiat money that is not connected to real stuff, not anchored in reality, that basically means you're obeying the person that is controlling those digits.
Ah, it's about control.
It is. It's not about physical chains, but about putting chains in our minds. The central authority can manipulate us through these abstract numbers because their value is arbitrary, changeable, expandable by them. It gives them huge power over our economic lives, our ability to save, plan, invest.
So how is Bitcoin different in this analogy?
Bitcoin, our sources argue, is fundamentally different. Now, it's not a measurement system in the strict scientific sense because economic value itself is always a bit subjective, right?
Right, values in the eye of the beholder.
Partly. But Bitcoin acts as a universal standard of measurement for that economic value in a really profound way. Why? Because it's rooted in reality through the immutable laws of math and physics governing its creation and its absolute scarcity.
It can't be inflated away.
Exactly. It's incorruptible because its rules are transparent, fixed, and can't be changed arbitrarily by some central group. Humans can't just change it willy-nilly like they do with fiat rules. In that sense, Bitcoin is like applying nature's speed limit to value itself. It's a constant, predictable, unmanipulable base. It gives us an objective, unshakable appraisal frame for the appraisal of value. That inherent, incorruptible base is the key difference from fiat's arbitrary nature.
Okay, so even if value is subjective, Bitcoin provides that solid objective framework to measure against. And maybe that's why, over time, there's this sort of inevitable pull towards Bitcoin's realness.
That's the idea. The goal, similar to how the meter became the global standard for length, is for Bitcoin to achieve that same kind of network effect, to become the universal standard for measuring economic value.
And the incentive is built in.
Well, our sources argue that unlike choosing between, say, miles and kilometers, which is kind of arbitrary for the user, adopting and using Bitcoin generally means over the long haul, you will have more over time.
Because of the scarcity.
Because of its programmed scarcity and resistance to dilution, this isn't just a wild guess, it's based on its fundamental properties. And that core benefit creates a powerful incentive for people and eventually nations to adopt it, fostering this self-reinforcing loop towards it becoming a global standard of humanity for how we measure value. It's a standard that intrinsically rewards those who join it.
Which leads us to what our sources pretty bluntly call the game theoretic fuckedness of the fiat system.
Yeah, strong words, but they make a point.
It describes a situation where the basic rules actually incentivize harmful behavior.
Yeah.
When you have a system where the person who's dishonest has the market advantage, well, that doesn't just cause individual problems, does it? It creates deep society-wide dysfunction.
How so?
It fosters this imitation game. People are rational, right? They tend to copy wealth acquisition strategies that they see working. So if someone, maybe a corrupt official, maybe even a clever financial manipulator, is seen getting rich or powerful through dishonest or exploitative means,
Others might start doing similar things.
exactly, maybe even subconsciously. And this just perpetuates win-lose games across generations. One person's gain has to come from someone else's loss. It leads to this constant struggle, this zero-sum mentality, instead of cooperative progress. It basically corrupts society's incentives.
Yeah, you see that play out.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, the really profound goal and the potential of Bitcoin is to radically shift those incentives.
Yeah.
We need a system where the wealth acquisition strategies that actually work are the ones that are inherently win-win, based on consent, mutual benefit, creating real value, not just extracting it.
Getting away from the zero-sum game.
Precisely. Our sources argue that the original design of the fiat system, maybe stemming from what they call selfishness over the network, implicitly prioritized individual or institutional survival, and in doing so, put some other costs onto others. Inflation is a classic example.
Externalizing costs.
Yeah. This inherent self-interest, just multiplied and compounded over a century, has led us to where we are now. Wealth inequality, mountains of debt, social fragmentation. This mindset, even if it wasn't intentionally malicious at the start, contributes to deep segregation and constant conflict as everyone's subtly pushed to compete for a slice of real value that's maybe shrinking or being diluted.
And the human cost of this digit manipulation, it's not just abstract economics. There's a deeply personal, incredibly raw anecdote shared by one of our sources that just underscores this.
Oh, right. This was powerful.
He talked about how the 2008 financial crisis a systemic breakdown caused by abstract financial games, how it indirectly led to this profound family tragedy. His mother, who is the family's main provider, a really sharp business lady, she faced immense financial stress because of the economic chaos.
The stress from the system hit home.
Directly. The abstract numbers collapsing on Wall Street translated into intense arguments within the family, eventually leading to divorce, and then tragically, just a few months later, in a truly horrific outcome linked to that stress and instability, his stepfather kidnapped and murdered his mother.
That's just unimaginable. A nightmare.
He describes it himself as a second-order consequence of manipulation of digits. It just brutally illustrates how abstract financial corruption, the instability baked into a dishonest ledger, can ripple outwards and have these devastating, concrete, deeply personal human costs, far beyond just losing money.
And realizing that connection.
It radicalized him, he said. It transformed that immense personal pain into a clear life's mission to contribute to Bitcoin. And as he put it so powerfully, to defund the psychopaths.
Meaning take away the financial tools that allow exploitative actors to thrive.
Exactly. Remove the systemic financial advantage that the current monetary system gives to those who exploit it, whether on a grand scale or a personal one. His story, he noted, resonates with this shared mother wound, many feel, highlighting money's deep emotional power and how its corruption can fuel crimes at all levels.
It really drives home that idea you mentioned earlier. Human nature is like water. It takes the shape of its container.
Precisely. Human nature isn't inherently good or bad. It just adapts to the incentives, the structures it finds itself in. Put it in the wrong container, like the Fiat system, which often rewards short-termism, dishonesty, exploitation, and you get bad outcomes. It can actually hold back civilization instead of advancing it through peaceful cooperation and creating real value. His story just makes the need for a better container, a better system, painfully clear. It's not just about finance. It's about preventing the conditions that lead to such human devastation.
Wow. Okay, so this raises a huge question then, moving from the personal to the global. How could Bitcoin actually impact things like global warfare and conflict?
Yeah, it's a big leap, but there's a compelling argument there. Our sources highlight Jason Lowery's thesis, which suggests that Bitcoin enables humanity to finally get on the same standard.
Like a universal economic yardstick.
Exactly. And this uniformity, this shared objective standard, it fosters deeper cooperation by fundamentally realigning incentives. It introduces this concept of selfish altruism.
Selfish altruism, how does that work?
The idea is when all economic actors, all nations are operating on the same immutable, honest standard. If I attack you, I'm attacking myself. Because economically, we become one entity. We are one humanity, linked by this shared, transparent economic layer. Destroying your trading partner or disrupting the network you both rely on directly harms you.
So it changes the cost-benefit analysis of war.
Fundamentally, it changes everything by making violent conflict much less appealing economically and strategically. It shifts the game theory away from conquest and towards cooperation. If attacking someone else on the same standard hurts your own economic well-being through lost trade, broken supply chains, general network disruption, the incentive for war just plummets.
And could it defund conflict too?
Our sources speculate that features built into Bitcoin, like maybe time-locked funds or just the transparency of the ledger, could make it much harder for criminal groups or rogue states to profit from illicit activities. It could effectively defund those who exploit the system by disrupting their business model of theft, extortion, or war profiteering. So Bitcoin isn't just tech. It's potentially a profound recalibration of human incentives towards win-win outcomes.
So Bitcoin, in a way, acts like this digital Trojan horse. It takes our often antagonistic, competitive human energies.
Which aren't going away.
Right, they're part of us.
Yeah.
But it channels them into a productive and peaceful channel instead of, killing each other, which history shows we're quite good at.
Sadly, yes.
People can engage in peaceful economic competition. And in this new game, the winners aren't the exploiters or the dominators. The winners are those who actually benefit humanity through innovation, creating real value, offering better products and services. It turns competition from a zero-sum fight into a positive-sum engine for progress.
That's the vision.
Our sources use another powerful metaphor here, too. They describe Fiat as being like an autoimmune disease,
Okay.
where the system is attacking its own host, its own entity, and that entity is humanity itself. Just like an autoimmune disease makes the body attack its own healthy cells, the Fiat system, maybe built on flawed principles of self-interest and control, has kind of turned against the very people it's supposed to serve. It causes dysfunction, conflict, decay.
And Bitcoin is the cure.
Bitcoin is presented as the potential cure that allows the system, the human economic system, to function correctly again, to heal and thrive. It also helps clarify that popular misconception, doesn't it, that we're supposedly in late-stage capitalism.
Right, people say that all the time.
But our sources argue, no, we're actually in some form of pseudo-capitalism, a distorted version. Bitcoin, they argue, could usher in a real, less pseudo form of capitalism, one where exploiting individuals isn't baked into the system, but is actually an anomaly that the system itself pushes against.
Yeah, it's about fixing those base-level incentives, a fundamental repair job.
Okay, let's unpack this even further, because this idea runs deep. It even affects something as basic as how we think about work. In the current Fiat system, mostly, money pays for time, right? Not necessarily work done.
Salary jobs, hourly wages.
Yeah, think about it. Employees often feel incentivized, maybe subconsciously, to optimize for the minimum amount of work, for the maximum amount of pay, because, hey, time will pass anyway, whether you bust your gut or coast. And our sources say this perverse incentive leads to things like quietly quitting, people just checking out emotionally. Their skills might even atrophy because they're not being challenged or rewarded for real effort. They become more dependent on that fixed salary. It creates this circle of going down, a downward spiral.
While employers are trying to get the most work for the least pay, it's inherent conflict.
Exactly. It's a built-in conflict that just plagues our labor markets.
But Bitcoin, especially with the Lightning Network, could totally change this dynamic.
Okay, explain Lightning for folks who might not know.
Sure. Lightning is basically a second layer on top of Bitcoin. Think of it like opening a super fast, super cheap payment channel between parties. It allows for almost instant, incredibly low-cost transactions, even tiny ones, microtransactions.
So like fractions of a cent instantly.
Exactly. And this tech enables instant settlement and things like split payments. So instead of waiting 2 weeks for a paycheck, you could literally be paid for tasks. Value could be streamed to you every second, every minute for the specific work you complete.
Wow, that completely changes the incentive structure.
Completely. If you're paid by the task, then doing tasks faster, doing them better, it directly improves your skills, which makes you more in demand, which means you can command higher pay. It creates an upward spiral. Better skills, more productivity, higher rewards.
And freedom.
Huge freedom. Incredible optionality. You're not desperate, chained to one employer anymore. You can walk away from bad situations because your value, your skills are portable and paid for directly by your output, not by some arbitrary clock or HR department. It's liberating.
Okay, let's make this concrete. A real-world example, like podcasting, something we know.
Good one.
In the current Fiat world, the podcast model is often messy, right? Centralized platforms controlling everything, demanding exclusivity deals with sponsors, sponsors prepaying based on guesses about listens.
Yeah, chasing ad dollars often dictates the content. It's not always aligned with the listener.
Exactly. Feels kind of opaque. But now imagine a Bitcoin future using Lightning. You might not even need traditional sponsors in the same way.
How would that work?
Well, podcasts could partner directly with product creators. As you mentioned a product on the show, maybe flash a QR code on the video version or put a link in the show notes. People click, they buy directly. And here's the kicker. You could get split payments instantly.
Like a commission.
Yeah. Like, say, a 10% commission on every single sale made through your link, paid in sats. Those tiny fractions of Bitcoin settled almost instantly into your wallet.
Wow. Okay, the benefits there seem huge for everyone involved.
Totally. For creators like us, full freedom. You could invite competitors on your show if you wanted, because your income isn't tied to some exclusive ad deal. It's tied to the actual value you drive.
And for the companies.
For the company selling the products, their upfront marketing budget is absolute zero. They only pay a commission when a verifiable sale actually happens. It's a true pay-for-performance model. It just revolutionizes how value flows, aligning incentives between creators, companies, and the audience.
Moving away from speculative advertising that often feels like a burden.
Towards direct, provable value exchange. More honest, more efficient, more transparent. For everyone.
That makes a lot of sense.
Ultimately, though, what our sources really hammer home is that user experience UX that's the holy grail for Bitcoin adoption. At the end of the day, it's not about ideology or complex economics for most people.
Right, has to work well, be easy.
It just has to provide practical value and be easy to use. As they put it, very simply, if the experience is good, they will stay. If the experience is bad, they will leave. Simple as that.
And Fiat's UX, arguably getting worse.
Arguably, yeah. Think about the bureaucracy. opening a simple bank account taking 2.5 hours of paperwork and waiting. The friction, the delays in international transfers, the unpredictability. Bitcoin's UX, yeah, it's still evolving, but it's generally increasingly better. Instant, global, permissionless value transfer. It's a pretty compelling UX improvement.
So the key isn't arguing, it's showing.
Exactly. Don't try to convince people with abstract theory. Give people experiences. Imagine the impact of sending a few sats like pennies worth instantly to a kid's phone wallet. They see it arrive immediately. Compare that to the near impossibility of opening a bank account for a child.
Yeah, the contrast is stark.
Or that personal story one source shared, paying his local butcher in Bitcoin. Later, the price of Bitcoin went up significantly. The butcher didn't need convincing anymore. He experienced it directly. He saw the value increase in his own hands. He convinced himself.
That's powerful. Experience beats theory.
It does. The real UX of a Bitcoin holder over time includes potentially increased purchasing power because of the scarcity, plus enhanced survivability, real control over your own funds, no intermediaries needed. So the call to action from our sources, especially for Bitcoiners, for entrepreneurs, is focus on building win-win games to promote the ultimate win-win game.
Build useful stuff on top of it.
Exactly. Build useful products and services that make use of Bitcoin beneath the hood. Because, as they said, we don't need more Lightning apps, we need more apps with Lightning. Integrate the tech seamlessly into things people already want and need.
Make it invisible but powerful.
Right. Because while the ideas might bring people in initially, user experience is something that's kind of perpetual. It's the ongoing, practical, daily benefit that keeps people engaged and drives real, lasting adoption.
That makes perfect sense. Solve real problems.
So wrapping up, today, we explored this really provocative idea, how fiat money can act like a subtle addiction, trapping us in these illusions of gain while maybe eroding our real economic freedom. We saw how this concept of a dishonest ledger can create systemic problems, bad incentives, and even have devastating human costs. And then we looked at how Bitcoin, because it's fundamentally rooted in mathematical and physical reality, its fixed supply, its verifiability offers a potential cure, not just for our finances, but maybe for how we interact, build things, cooperate as a species. It's way more than just tech. It's almost a different philosophy of life for people who really get into it.
It really can feel that way. So, thinking about all this, what does it mean for you, the listener? Maybe take a moment to consider how much of your own work or your daily transactions or even your long-term financial plans are still kind of operating within that old time-based fiat way of thinking versus this emerging value-based Bitcoin paradigm that aims to reward actual work and honest exchange.
Yeah, that's a great question to chew on. How can you, maybe even in small ways, start shifting your thinking or maybe even your habits towards a system that encourages those win-win outcomes, that rewards real value creation in your own life? Something to ponder.
Definitely food for thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if this deep dive sparked something in you, made you curious, well, imagine what else you could learn by digging deeper. Please remember to follow, like, and share this deep dive if you found it valuable. Help spread the knowledge.
Yeah, share it around.
And you can also follow What Bitcoin Taught Me on all the major platforms: Twitter X, Nostr, Bluesky Threads, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Stay connected with us there and continue your own deep dive journey.